The other day, I posted a video going over the top 10 quarterback recruits from the 2010 class, and boy, what a list that was. There weren't any memorable names on there, and it truly might be one of the worst quarterback classes we've seen in recent memory. I asked you guys which recruit rankings you wanted to see next, and the one with the most thumbs up was about the stacked 2015 quarterback recruiting class. So today, we're going to be taking a look back at the top 10 quarterback recruits from that 2015 class. As always, we're going to be using the 24/7 rankings for this video. Before we get to the 10 players, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. If you love college football content, this is definitely the place for you. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Drew Lock. He attended Lee Summit High School in Missouri. As a senior in 2014, he was the Kansas City Stars All-Metro Player of the Year after passing for 2,700 yards and 28 touchdowns. He decided to stay close to home and chose to attend Missouri. He appeared in 12 games his freshman season and started in 8 of them. He was underwhelming as he completed 49% of his passes for 4 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Then, in 2016, he turned himself into one of the best quarterbacks in the entire SEC. He finished the 2016 season ranked first in the SEC in passing yards and second in passing yards per game and in yards per completion. He was also second in the SEC in completions per game and third in total offense. His 3,400 yards through the air are the 5th most in program history in a single season, and the most ever in a 12-game season at Missouri. And his 23 passing touchdowns were the 6th most in program history. Then, during the 2017 season, he led the FBS and set the SEC and Missouri record for passing touchdowns with 44, while helping the Tigers reach a bowl game after starting the season 1-5. He finished the season with 3,900 passing yards with 44 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. He was selected to the first team All-SEC. He returned for his senior season and threw for 3,500 yards with 28 passing touchdowns and 6 rushing touchdowns. To finish his Missouri career, he ranked second all-time in passing yards and second in passing touchdowns. Lock was selected by the Denver Broncos in the second round with the 42nd overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. He suffered a thumb injury in the preseason and was placed on the injured reserve. He was activated off the injured reserve on November 30th of 2019 and went 4-1 as a starter to close out the season. In 5 games, he threw for over 1,000 yards with 7 touchdowns. He was able to stay healthier in 2020 as he missed only 3 games. In his sophomore campaign, he threw for just under 3,000 yards. He had 16 touchdown passes but had a league-high 15 interceptions. As of now, he's still the starting quarterback for the Broncos, but who knows if they're going to take a quarterback in the upcoming NFL Draft, or maybe even trade for one this offseason. Number 9 on this list is a USC quarterback, but it's not Sam Darnold. Darnold was a 2015 quarterback recruit, but wasn't in the top 10. Instead, it was Ricky Town. Town went to St. Bonaventure High School in Ventura, California, and opted to stay close to home. He had offers from other top programs, but wanted to pick USC along with Sam Darnold. USC fans never even got a chance to see him as he didn't even make it to the start of the season. After 1 week of fall camp, Town announced he'd be transferring. According to reports, Darnold was looking fantastic at camp, and Town wasn't. He knew that he didn't have a chance to win the starting quarterback job, so he opted to leave. He transferred to Arkansas, where he spent 2 seasons with the Razorbacks, but he never appeared in the game. So he opted to transfer back home and attend Ventura College. He threw for 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns there, and then decided to transfer to Pittsburgh. He appeared in only 1 game for the Panthers in 2018, completing his only pass attempt for 15 yards. After the season, he left the program and his football career was done. He spent time at USC, Arkansas, and Pittsburgh, and only ever threw 1 pass. I did the best I could to try to find some information on what Ricky Town's up to now, but I just couldn't really find anything. Coming in at number 8 on this list is Jake Browning. He attended Folsom High School in California. He played in 46 games over his years as the quarterback for his team, throwing for 17,000 yards and 229 touchdowns, all of which are California records. The 229 touchdowns also broke the national record. As a senior, he threw for a national record 91 touchdown passes. He also threw for a California record 5,800 passes, which is a record he broke from his junior season. Browning was the Gatorade Football Player of the Year during his junior and senior years, and he decided to commit to Washington. In his first year with the Huskies, he became the second true freshman in program history to start a quarterback and the first true freshman to start a season opener for Washington. He finished his freshman season with under 3,000 passing yards and 16 touchdowns, but he then flipped a switch his sophomore season and played like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He set a new record for touchdowns per attempt at 12.2%. He was named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year and was named first team All-Pac-12. He came in 6th place in 2016 Heisman Trophy voting, the second best finish in Washington history. He threw for 3,400 yards with 43 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns. And he led Washington not only to their first Pac-12 title since 2000, a college football playoff spot. He underwent shoulder surgery in the offseason and wasn't the same quarterback after that. During his junior season, he threw only 18 touchdown passes and threw for only 2,500 yards. Then in 2018, he threw for 3,200 yards, but only had 16 passing touchdowns and tied a career high with 10 interceptions. He finished his Washington career with 12,300 passing yards, by far the most in program history, and his 94 passing touchdowns were also by far the most in Washington history. He went undrafted in the 2019 NFL Draft, but signed with the Vikings as a free agent. He was waived before the season began, but was placed on the practice squad. He was waived yet again prior to the 2020 season, but was placed on the practice squad yet again. He signed a reserve future contract with the Vikings on January 4th of 2021. Number 7 on this list goes to Brady White. He attended Hart High School in California. He was selected to participate in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl and was named the starting quarterback for the West. He was one of 16 nominees for the U.S. Army National Player of the Year in 2014 and threw for 3,800 yards with 45 passing touchdowns in 12 games. He committed to Arizona State and became one of the highest recruits in program history. He redshirted for the Sun Devils in 2015 and appeared in 2 games in 2016 before an injury cost him the remainder of his season. With a pretty solid quarterback room at ASU, White opted to transfer to Memphis, where he won the starting quarterback job. While with the Tigers, he had one of the most prolific careers of any player in program history. In his 3 years at Memphis, he threw for a school record 10,690 passing yards, and his 90 touchdowns are also the most in program history. While at Memphis, Brady White went 28-11. White is currently one of the quarterback prospects in the 2021 NFL Draft. Coming in at number 6 is Deandre Francois. I've actually made an entire video going over his career, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on him. If you'd like to hear more about his football career and everything that went wrong, go check out that video on my channel. He attended Olympia High School in Orlando for 3 years, but then transferred to the IMG Academy for his senior year. In his 2 years at Olympia, he passed for 3,100 yards with 28 touchdowns. Then, at the IMG Academy, he threw for 1,500 yards with 18 touchdowns. He stayed close to home and committed to Florida State. He redshirted in 2015. He started majority of the games in 2016 and was great for Florida State. They won 10 games, including winning the Orange Bowl over Michigan. However, in 2017, he was injured in the first game of the season against Alabama and missed the remainder of the year. He returned in 2018, but just wasn't good at all. Then, in 2019, he was removed from the team. Later in the year, he transferred to Hampton, where he was their starting quarterback. In December of 2020, he signed with a new league that is a sports league controlled by the fans. The league's inaugural season is scheduled to begin next week and is going to last 6 weeks. Before we get to the top 5, if you could please take a second and give this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps share the video with more college football fans, and it only takes a second to do. Number 5 on our list is Brandon Wimbush. As a senior, he was named the Gatorade Football Player of the Year for New Jersey and threw for 3,200 yards with 37 touchdowns, while also rushing for an additional 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. He committed to Notre Dame. As a true freshman, he appeared in only 2 games and was Deshaun Kaiser's backup. Then, the following season, Wimbush took a redshirt. He appeared in 12 games for the Irish in 2017, but he completed less than 50% of his passes while throwing for 1,900 yards and 16 touchdowns. A lot of his damage, though, came on the ground as he rushed for over 800 yards with 14 rushing touchdowns. He was named the starter in 2018, but lost his job after a few weeks. After a couple awful games, he lost his starting job to Ian Book. He never won the job back, and his time at Notre Dame was over. That offseason, he announced he'd be transferring to UCF. He started the opening game of the season, but that was the only game he'd start for the Knights. Dillon Gabriel took over as the starter, and Wimbush threw only 1 pass attempt the remainder of the season, and that would be the end of his football career. He wanted to try and work on his overall game with the hopes of becoming like a Taysom Hill in the NFL. Unfortunately, he wasn't given an opportunity. He's currently the CEO for MOGL, a platform that allows athletes to easily connect with businesses, foundations, and individuals about compensation opportunities. Up next at number 4 is Jarrett Stidham. As a senior in Texas, he threw for just under 3,000 yards with 35 touchdowns. He also rushed for just under 1,000 yards with 15 rushing touchdowns. He originally committed to Texas Tech, but switched his commitment to Baylor. He spent the first half of his freshman season as the backup quarterback, but after an injury to Seth Russell, he was named the starting quarterback. In his third start, Jarrett Stidham injured his hand and his ankle in the first half and didn't return. Then Baylor announced he had a chipped bone in the back of his ankle and he'd miss the remainder of the season. That offseason, amid the controversy surrounding the university and the quarterback battle with Seth Russell, Jarrett Stidham opted to transfer. He spent a semester at McLennan Community College where he didn't play football. Then he announced he'd be transferring to Auburn. He was the starter for 2 seasons for the Tigers, throwing for nearly 6,000 yards with 43 total touchdowns. Instead of returning for 1 more season, he declared for the NFL Draft. He was selected by the New England Patriots in the 4th round of the 2019 NFL Draft. He was the backup to Tom Brady during his rookie season. After Brady left in 2020, many thought that Stidham would be the Patriots' starting quarterback, but the team signed Cam Newton, and Stidham was the backup yet again. Through 2 seasons so far, Stidham's completed 50% of his passes for 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Before we get to our top 3, drop a comment down below and take a guess as to who you think the top 3 quarterback recruits from 2015 were. Coming in at number 3 is Kyler Murray. He attended Allen High School in Allen, Texas. As a senior in 2014, he was the Gatorade Football Player of the Year. His team won 3 straight state championships and 43 games in a row. He missed 1 start during the streak and finished his career with a perfect 42-0 record as the starting quarterback. During his senior season, Murray finished with 4,700 passing yards and 54 passing touchdowns, while adding 1,500 yards on the ground with 25 rushing touchdowns. He finished his high school career with 10,400 passing yards and 117 passing touchdowns. He also finished with 4,100 yards on the ground and 69 rushing touchdowns. He chose to stay in state and committed to Texas A&M. Murray lost the starting quarterback battle to Kyle Allen his freshman season, but halfway through the year, Murray was named the starting quarterback. He finished the year with a combined 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, but decided to transfer to Oklahoma in the offseason. Yet again, he was the backup. In 2017, he was number 2 on the depth chart behind Baker Mayfield, who ended up winning the Heisman Trophy. Then, in 2018, Kyler was named the starting quarterback and showed what he was capable of doing when given the keys to an offense. He threw for 4,300 yards and had 42 passing touchdowns. He also added over 1,000 yards on the ground and had 12 rushing touchdowns. He took home the Heisman Trophy, becoming the 2nd consecutive Oklahoma quarterback to win the award. And, just like Baker, he was the first overall pick in the NFL draft, being selected by the Arizona Cardinals number 1 in the 2019 draft. Murray started all 16 games for the Cardinals in 2019 and was named the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year. He threw for 3,700 yards and had 20 passing touchdowns while adding 500 yards on the ground with 4 rushing touchdowns. He set a number of Cardinal rookie quarterback records and looked to be one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. He followed up his rookie campaign by having a Pro Bowl season in year 2. He threw for just under 4,000 yards with 26 passing touchdowns. He also upped his rushing numbers, rushing for over 800 yards with 11 rushing touchdowns. Number 2 is also another player I did a more in-depth video on, Blake Barnett. So if you'd like to learn a little more about his career, you can go find that on my channel as well. He attended Santiago High School in Corona, California. During his high school career, he threw for 6,000 yards. He committed to Alabama, where he redshirted in 2015. He started the season opener against USC, but was benched for Jalen Hurts. At the end of September, he announced he'd be entering the transfer portal. He enrolled at Palomar College, which was close to home, and then went to Arizona State in 2017. He didn't win the quarterback job at Arizona State, so after a year with the Sun Devils, he transferred yet again. He then transferred to South Florida and had a pretty decent season in year 1, but injuries and bad play really hurt him in year 2, and that was the end of his football career. Blake recently just had his 2nd kid and is currently raising a family. He's also a really good guy. After the video I posted on him, he actually DM'd me saying how appreciative he was for the video and that he did a really good job on it. Coming in though at number 1 is the top quarterback recruit of the 2015 class, Josh Rosen. He attended St. John Bosco High School in California. As a senior, he was named the LA Times Player of the Year after passing for 3,200 yards with 29 touchdowns. He was named a 2014 USA Today High School All-American. During his high school career, he passed for over 11,000 yards with 90 touchdowns. He stayed local and committed to UCLA. He won the starting quarterback job his freshman year and became the first true freshman to start a season opener at quarterback for UCLA. He was named the Pac-12 Freshman Offensive Player of the Year and earned freshman All-American honors across the board. On the season, he threw for 3,700 yards with 23 passing touchdowns. Rosen got injured midway through his sophomore season and missed the remainder of the year. In only 6 games, he threw for under 2,000 yards and had 10 touchdowns with 5 interceptions. In 2017, he threw for over 3,700 yards with 26 passing touchdowns, both career highs. His 3,700 passing yards were the most in a single season in UCLA history. He declared for the NFL draft instead of returning for his senior season. He finished his Bruins career 3rd all-time in passing yards and 4th all-time in passing touchdowns. He was selected by the Arizona Cardinals with the 10th overall pick in the 2018 draft. He wasn't named the starter to begin the year, but ended up starting 13 games for the Cardinals his rookie season. He finished the year with 2,300 yards and 11 touchdowns with 14 interceptions. As a starter, Arizona went 3-10. A 1-year tryout was enough for Arizona as they drafted Kyler Murray with the 1st overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft. Rosen was then traded to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for the Dolphins' 2019 second-round pick. Yet again, he began the season as the backup, but eventually started some games. He made 3 starts for Miami, but they went 0-3. He completed 53% of his passes and threw only 1 touchdown with 5 interceptions. The following offseason, the Dolphins drafted quarterback Tua Tagovailoa 5th overall in the 2020 draft. Rosen didn't even win the backup job, so he was waived by Miami. In September, he signed onto the practice squad of the Buccaneers. Then in December, he signed with the 49ers off the practice squad. And just a few days ago, he re-signed with the 49ers. So although his career hasn't panned out the way he would have liked, maybe in San Francisco, he'll finally get another opportunity. Well, that wraps up this top 10 list. Which name were you most surprised to see on this top 10? Also, which name were you most surprised didn't pan out the way you thought they would? Drop a comment down below and share with me your thoughts. If you haven't done so yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss another video. If you love college football content like this, then this is definitely the place for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.